Hi, Colin here from John Hates Movies. If you're anything like me, you love it when people listen to you. Well, so do we. So
What's that, Colin?
Asking you. I said, if you're anything like me, you love it when people listen to you.
You know, guys, I was thinking about doing something this week.
Hang on.
Something different, maybe.
I'm trying to do something.
Hey there, listeners. It's Eric from John Hates Movies.
Hey.
I don't know what that guy was saying before me, but what I want you to do is share John Hates Movies with two of your friends.
Come on.
You think you could do that for me?
I was totally gonna say that. What we're asking you today is reach out to someone you love, a friend, old Carmen Sandiego. Tell them about your favorite podcast.
Hey there,
John
listeners.
Hates me. God damn it, Eric.
Hey there, listeners. I want you to tell two friends about your favorite podcast, John Hates Movies.
Friends, they know their podcast.
Ah, the
There's
French.
a podcast out of Lansing, Michigan, called John Hates Movies. Tell a friend to listen to John Hates Movies. We shall cast no pod before it's time.
Yeah, I just want to say it's important to say that you don't have to ask them for money. We're not asking for money. You don't actually have to make them listen to our podcast. Just tell them about us.
But they should also listen.
Ah, the French.
What you should do on a late Friday night, gather your friends, share some secondhand pizza, and John Hates Movies.
Want to ring the bell?
I'm taking it back. I'm taking them all back.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. I'm a loner, Daddy. Rebel.
I am the walrus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to John Hates Movies, the movie review podcast where my friends prevent me from ripping a hole in the space-time continuum and instead force me to watch movies. My name is John Barrup. I am your host, and today we have Eric Largent.
Tally ho.
We have Chris Arsenault.
I have a deep regard for you as well.
We have Colin McMillan.
I'll pretty much watch anything with Patrick Warburton in it.
And we have James Barrup. I am not James. I am Crixus, champion of Capua.
I liked it when they called him Shermanus.
Yes, I did. For those of you who are curious, we watched Mr. Peabody and Sherman, the animated feature that came out in 2014 in keeping with our modern march. The synopsis of this is resurrected from the 1960s animated series Rocky and Bullwinkle. Canine genius Mr. Peabody and young Sherman take a dizzying ride through time. Starring Ty Burrell, Max Charles, and Ariel Winter. Directed by Rob Minkoff.
Oh, yeah. Rob Minkoff, you know what his first directorial feature was?
No, I do not.
The Lion King.
Really?
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Look where he has gone.
Right.
Hey!
That's wow, they gave the Lion King to a new guy?
Yes.
Holy
they did.
shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of surprising.
That is,
Maybe
yeah.
they didn't expect much from it.
That's nuts. Yeah, well, I wrote this stupid Hamlet ripoff about lions. Give it to the new guy.
So, Mr. Peabody and Sherman, as I am the one who selected this movie, I have to go first. So I am actually, for probably the first time since this podcast has started, going to actually speak first about a movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
How do you feel?
I feel a little scared.
Did this movie give you any feels, John?
Actually, this movie gave me all the feels.
Really?
I am not kidding you.
John, are you a dog?
I am a dog.
Whoa.
Okay.
You can't just ask somebody if they're a dog, man.
No, you have to tell them to sit, to fetch, then call them a dog.
Yeah. Now, I have to admit that scene was a little cheesy there. The whole, like, I am a dog.
Yeah.
That was a little dumb. But the rest of this movie... All right. I picked this movie because I had read and heard from various different sources that there was a lot of backlash about this film from parents who basically thought that the humor was coming from a place that was basically too smart for kids to truly understand. I don't necessarily find that to be an accurate assessment. I mean, the humor was actually kind of smart, but I mean, it had plenty of kid dumb moments too, which...
Well, yeah, but there were also Oedipus jokes, which many adults won't even understand.
Yeah,
That's
true.
I don't get
I
it.
understand perfectly.
In support of that, John, I knew exactly what they were talking about when... I mean, they put a Plato's Republic reference in like the first 5 minutes, which I actually went, ha! At that, because it's funny that there's a dog reading Plato's Republic, and that's why he's not chosen as a puppy. But I was like, oh, I see.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that's basically, that's basically the premise. You know, the premise, Mr. Peabody is very smart. The humor in this film is actually pretty smart. I don't think it's unattainable for kids. I think there's a lot to this that would recommend it for children, but the feels... Okay.
Someone asked you about the feels. I thought you were launching into like Feelsbury stuff. I'm like, we're past that.
No, I mean, basically, yeah, I mean, you can't really separate this movie. With most kid movies, there's supposed to be this emotional component. And I will be the first to admit, I got a little misty a couple of times during this film. A lot of this has to do with my own personal history, because any time that there's a movie that is about the relationship between a kid and his dad, that always chokes me up a little bit more. Yep. So this movie has a little bit of those, kind of like just a little bit extra heart tug for me that probably wouldn't have been there had I not already brought it to the table. But I can see where if you have a strong relationship with your father, or a not-so-strong relationship with your father, where this movie could hit very specific notes. Much like the Goofy movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So, that being said, overall, I loved this film. I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. There were a lot of parts that really got me. There is some weakness. We talked about this scene where everybody... kind of gets behind the main characters. It's one of those feel.
I'm a dog.
Yeah, everybody.
I'm Spartacus.
I've been called a dog.
Yeah, the Spartacus thing, that was pretty fun.
That was fun.
But they're all.
But also not a joke that a kid would get.
No, not now, but definitely not. But still funny. And like I said, there are a lot of some cheesy moments like that. There are also some questions raised, like the fact that only the kids apparently have teeth, and the fact that within the first 15 minutes of the movie, 10 minutes really, Mr. Peabody shows a very blatant disregard for human life by knocking out a bunch of French soldiers and then effectively setting them on fire.
Hey, Stinky!
Kat's got a lot to say about this movie. She wants a movie about a cat next.
Yeah, right? Like, that's discrimination!
Yeah, I gotta do something about that.
I like it. I want that cat in more.
The cat is the official, or the unofficial mascot.
I think we need more outtakes with Stinky in them.
Yeah.
Right.
We need just a stinky reel.
She just loves to come in here
We
and
need
yell.
to do a John Hates Movie logo, but with a cat.
It says John Hay like a little bit,
John
and
hates
it's got a
Stinky.
meow.
John hates mouth.
John hates
Yeah. So yeah, I mean there are little things you can definitely nitpick, but overall I think this movie is very solidly put together. I think it's very smart. I think it's very fun. Probably could have done without the whole I understand it was a driving force on the movie, but I think I probably really could have done without the whole Grunion wants to take Sherman away subplot.
CPS angle might have been a little Unnecessary.
Too much.
You already have the
Yeah.
conflicts between the parents in the beginning. That's enough.
Yeah, the conflict between the parents was enough, and the time travel exploits and issues could have been the driving conflict. Because the Grunion thing, the Child Protective Services thing, wasn't really necessary to get across to the point that Sherman is actually growing up.
Yeah.
Which is really the true conflict of this movie, is, you know, the estrangement that happens between a father and a son once people start reaching a certain age.
And
Which I think they
boys
nailed.
discover girls.
When boys discover girls, that's usually a big part of the genesis. And I think that was nailed. I think that was nailed pretty solidly.
I don't know. They seem kind of young.
Well, when did you discover girls, Chris?
No, you said that was nailed.
Jeez, on Bates.
So anyway, yeah, so that, you know, I mean, and that's, I'm usually not used to going first, so I usually don't have much to say at length. I think this is a very solidly put together movie. I think this would be great for kids. I think it's very funny. And I think if you like fun, kitschy relationships that happen to have a little bit of action and adventure, it's good. And I think it's worth a watch. Who's next? James?
I did not watch this movie. I watched Spartacus from beginning to end, and now I am inhabited by the spirit of Crixus.
That was a pretty good impression, James. I will give you $1 if you can pronounce the actor's name who you're impersonating.
I looked it up last week.
Well, unfortunately, you don't win $1.
Oh, James can't make rent.
So, what'd you think of this film?
This movie is like Oliver Queen. He's killed Shadow. He's taken everything from me, and I will see him dead. I will have my revenge. All right, okay, I think I'm done now.
How long were you working on that? Because I mean,
a while. I was like, I'm getting better and better at that fucking guy.
you're getting really good at him. I think there's maybe about 3 people who will get anything that you just did.
Oh, the guy
but-
from
Come on, fucking
Sinbad the Minotaur?
Spartacus and fucking
Nobody watched that, dude.
Green Arrow.
I
and
watched.
Deathstroke.
Nobody watched that, dude.
You're right.
Like I said, 3 people. I happen to be one of them. So
The guy in Sinbad and the Minotaur, or whatever it's called.
Was he in the Immortals or whatever the fuck? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway. So, alright, yeah. Not much to say about this movie. It's a couple parts really made me laugh.
Sorry,
Like-
I think everybody's parts are going to start with not much to say about this movie.
that might
I
be the
have like a
case.
page.
Okay, good. Then
Cool.
once we get to the Chris and Colin part,
Yeah.
we'll get some meat into this episode.
Well,
because
you're
I'm not gonna
welcome.
be able to give it.
Yeah.
You are welcome from me and Colin for
Yeah.
carrying the podcast.
Yep.
Cheers, Colin. Go fuck yourself.
It takes
I
real
like you
gumption to sit in a room full of people that don't fucking get your joke and just keep powering through anyway.
Yes.
Dude, I do this every day.
Oh god, yeah. It's difficult. But anyway, so this movie, yeah, I guess fairly smart, but a lot of the jokes, even though they were smart puns.
Yeah.
The Stephen Hawking lunch pail made me genuinely laugh.
Yes.
Yeah,
was great.
I really
Yes.
like that.
A brief history of lunch.
I love that. That was amazing.
Smart person sight gag. What?
Yeah. I watched an original thing of Mr. Peabody and Sherman just to see like what was the same and what wasn't. And yeah, wow, it kind of surprised me how much like the whole adoption thing and everything was like directly from the original
Really?
show.
I had
Yep.
forgotten that.
Me too. I thought he was just like his sidekick.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They
I thought he
never
was
really
just a-
addressed it.
I thought it was just a dog and a kid that hung out.
No, the first episode of Mr. Peabody, they hardly like do any way back stuff. It's the entire thing is just about him adopting a boy as a dog. And in
Wow.
matter of fact, it starts with him doing yoga. And so it's like, huge chunks of that like 2-minute cartoon are completely ripped and remade in the movie. The animation, okay, so when with DreamWorks does this a lot. When you got 3D animation, what you're basically doing is you got a puppet. Like, it's like a puppet, kind of. And a lot of times DreamWorks will do motion capture, and sometimes it, like, gets really close to being, like, realistic, and that's when it kind of gets a little creepy, makes you feel a little uneasy.
Yeah, it's called the Uncanny
Uncanny
Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got this, like, puppet that sometimes starts acting very human, and then it doesn't. Like, it just... Yeah, what is the word I'm looking for?
The Uncanny Valley?
That's what it's called.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
It's a scientific term for it.
Yeah,
so there's
that's
a
real.
fucking phrase for it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
That point where things look just human enough to creep you out. That is the Uncanny Valley.
interesting.
Yep.
I felt about the Dark Crystal when I was a kid, about the Gelflings. I'm like, why would you make a puppet of a person?
Yeah. Yeah.
Puppets
Those are
in
kind
general.
Mama!
Are fucking creepy.
Mama!
You talk about Da Vinci's robot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Creepy. But, so yeah, that, like, just every now and then it just look really human and stuff. Surprise Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
I like him doing voice acting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much like regular acting, because every time I see him acting now, I go, "Oh, it's Colbert," you know. But
Yeah.
he does voice acting, like he can kind of lose him a little bit. And the way back, well, I watched Freebirds on my own, and it's like the exact same machine. It's like they repurposed the machine from Freebirds to be the way back. Like, it's a little different, but it's like they designed exactly the same. Once you see it, yeah, it does like the invisible thing. It's got like the hexagonal outside, like tiled outside.
So
and everything.
you don't think that the original Mr. Peabody and Sherman that came out in the 60s is the
When I watched the
progenitor
video,
for all this?
well, huh?
Like,
Oh, yeah, no.
because I know the Wayback Machine was in that. It just didn't look like this.
No, the Wayback Machine in the original cartoon looked like a door and like a bunch of like chemistry vials and shit all
Yeah,
around
it was a door with like tubes on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really weird looking. But
Yeah, they just open the door and then they walk
Yep.
through to the time
Because
period,
it
which I
was
think is
you
kinda
were
cool.
actually using your imagination.
I think that I didn't think it was great, but it was okay. And it was pretty good. It was good. I'd say it's like on the better side of good. I think the thing that it suffers from is what a lot of animated movies suffer from nowadays, especially in DreamWorks, is that it seems to kind of more want to be a Universal Studios ride than a movie.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was going to touch on that.
Yeah.
My final thing I'll say is that probably the biggest thing that probably parents might have been complaining about it being too smart was at the end when they fucking techno-babbled their way out of a bad situation. And if you don't watch Star Trek, you can very much get the impression that you're supposed to understand what the fuck he's saying. But the truth is, you're just not supposed to understand what the fuck he's saying. You're just supposed to ride with it because that's what they do in Star Trek.
That's the joke.
Reverse tachyon field.
Yeah.
Reverse the tachyon polarity.
Reverse the polarity
proton
on the
reversal.
tech. Yep.
We neutralized it.
You neutralized it. Oh my god.
Yeah, we got to go down
hope
to
you use
Rigel
the
12 and get
deflector,
some
Jake.
diethylene crystals.
Yep.
I was going to go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uncle
no.
Owen!
No, wrong one. There is no
Star
science
Wars
in
is,
Star
is
Wars.
scientifically accurate, Colin. Come on.
There is no. There is no science in Star Wars.
It's space magic. Like the
Exactly.
Green Lantern.
Bobbit.
the Green Lantern has more science than Star Wars.
Parsecs is not a measurement of time, you douche.
Eric, I appreciate that you made a Star Wars animal noise that no one else has ever made before, and I recognize that. I've never heard anybody say "bobbit, bobbit," and I was
Yeah, the Jawas say it.
"bobbit, bobbit."
Yeah.
Somebody posted a video of a pig eating a potato chip, and I swear it sounded exactly like a tauntaun, and I was so happy about that. He's like,
Your tauntaun will freeze before you get past the first marker.
"And I'll see you in hell."
Oh my!
I hate Star Wars.
Wait, what'd you say, John?
He
It's
hates
like, God, I hate Star Wars.
We've had this conversation before. Yeah, I'm done.
So, You're done. All right. Yes.
I'll take it from here if you don't mind.
I don't. Why is it that we always have the roughest time saying nice things about nice things?
Okay, well, I'm going to do my best,
I said
buddy.
it was good. I just didn't think it was great.
I disagree with James because I did think it was really, really great. I actually really loved this movie, and I'm going to try to say every good thing that I thought about it. Now, it's not without criticism, but I think I'm going to cover that first. Because you said it's more like a ride, and one of the first things I wrote down about this, we actually wrote quite a lot down about it. I have over-animated, which is like some of those scenes, like the whole French Revolution sequence where they're just like going in the sewers and running and sword fighting and blah, and it's just like, you don't need all that. Like, the show was never like that. What you need is for them to do the little, like, the little Mr. Peabody walk, which he did most of the time in the movie. But, like, when he's, like, doing flips and stuff, I'm like, that's not Mr. Peabody. That's
To bring it back around, it's a lot like Yoda when he
in
starts
episode 3.
Correct.
That's exactly what I was about to say, Chris.
Like,
on.
There was like joke grenade, everybody
barely
died on it.
walking, then doing triple flips.
Right. He doesn't
I just can't
need
stand
to
that
be an
shit.
acrobat. He is a super genius, super scientist. He doesn't need to be an acrobat. Now, going hand in hand with that, it seems obligatory now, for some reason, in every damn DreamWorks animated movie, you have to do a Matrix spoof where somebody flips over somebody else's head in slow motion.
No, that was a spoof. Oh, Spartacus! No, it was a 300.
Well, whatever it is, though, they do this all the time in CG animated movies, and this is so tropey, I can never see it again. I was never really happy with that as source material for a gag anyway, because I don't actually think I've talked about this on this podcast before, but I hate slow-mo. I know. I don't like slow motion. The reason I love the first Iron Man so much is there was no slow motion in any of the action, and it was awesome.
Tony Stark made this in a cave with a bunch of scraps.
It's a pretty good pouty Jeff Bridges. That was one thing that I didn't care for, but fortunately those moments came and went in Mr. Peabody and Sherman and didn't bother me too much. I was really set to just give John the hardest time about picking this, because before I sat down to watch it, I had already started writing my rant because I was so sure that this movie was going to be crap. I was like, if I just won the game, you jerks, we would have been watching a Jon Favreau movie, and you would have loved it. But no, we had to watch this stupid dog. But I literally have written here the timestamp 21:23. I don't know how they can fuck this up, because 20 minutes in, I was already so sold on this movie, and everything that I had doubts about, with the exception of my animation-related woes, they actually they didn't fall in any of the holes I thought they were going to fall in. One of the holes I was sure they were going to fall in. They go back in time in the beginning of the movie, you get this French Revolution stuff, then Sherman goes to school and meets a girl. And I was like, the rest of this movie is going to be how Sherman doesn't fit in at school. And that's going to be this movie, they're done with time travel, and we get to watch just Chicken Little again. Nope, they didn't do that. Lots of time travel. I also was looking out for the jokes being too smart, and I was really happy that this movie had a lot of smart jokes, can't have your cake and eat it too. That's
all the puns were unlaughable.
But
to me.
Oh no, they were great.
And
They made me
I thought they were
chuckle.
great. I laughed at every single one of them out loud, because
That one was painful though.
I
I would say painful.
I thought he was just going to go for a can't have your cake and eat it too kind of thing, just
right,
straight
I was
up.
expecting that as well.
The edict thing.
If she would have
surprised
passed
me.
an edict to pass out bread to the commoners, but you can't have your cake and edict too.
You know,
Come on, that's
the best.
very
And
clever.
I think that was because
So
they quite obviously handed that one to you on a plate.
Yes.
Um,
But they kind of did. But I appreciate that they didn't shy away from jokes that required you to know something about history and culture. There are lots and lots and lots of people that don't know that Da Vinci was an inventor. They just think that he was an artist. And I'm so glad that they addressed both of those things about Da Vinci, and they treat the audience like you're supposed to know that. And that's the kind of movie-making world I want to live in, where they assume that you're a smart person watching this movie and that you don't need your hand held through every joke and reference. I really appreciated that. very impressed with Ty Burrell's voice work.
Yeah.
Just nailing Mr. Peabody the whole time. You know what I mean?
Phrasing.
Phrasing! But, like, he was just killing it the whole time. And what I was most impressed with is, in the cartoon, as far to my recollection, and maybe James can correct me on this, Mr. Peabody never gets upset, if I recall. He gets upset several times in this movie. There's no source material to base that vocalization on, to my knowledge. But he just nailed it throughout. Kept it very true to the character, but you believed that he could be upset and emotional, which brings me to another thing in support of why this is a quality movie. They showed you, yes, there was a montage of like adoption flashbacks. They showed you repeatedly, not just once, not just in the beginning. They showed you throughout the movie, and they never stopped showing you that Mr. Peabody and Sherman love each other like a father and son, like with real warmth and affection.
Yeah.
Yep, they do that.
And that totally nailed me in the feels, just like Johnny. Like I was dying the whole time. Like anytime anything feely came up, I was like, oh my god. Like the first time he's like, I love you, Mr. Peabody. I was like, oh my heart.
I know.
I hold you in whatever he said. Chris said it earlier. The
high regard.
I hold you in high regard.
Yeah, I hold you in high regard as well, Sherman. And I was like, oh no!
Whatever it is.
Did have one smart person complaint. Mr. Peabody would know that centrifugal force isn't a thing. It's centripetal force, you stupid idiot.
Centrifugal is a false force.
It. I have deep regard for you.
I have deep regard as well.
Oh, centrifuges have force on things, right?
There's centrifugal force and centripetal
But
force.
centrifugal force
Centrifugal
is not real.
Is it's a bastardization. It's one of those words that means centrifugal force.
Yeah, centripetal.
But people have used it wrong so often now that it had to be accepted into acceptable
That's
parlance.
like literally
Much like
now
inflammable.
Yes.
or literally
Or
becoming
irregardless.
in the dictionary to mean what it literally doesn't mean.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we now no longer have a word to properly define.
Yeah, you have to say, like, actually,
Yeah.
literally.
And besides, centrifugal force, which is the correct pronunciation of that force, is a false force, meaning that it is actually the opposite reaction to centripetal force.
Right.
And the combination of inertia from the object wanting to go
Whoa.
straight.
We don't want to talk over our listeners.
All I'm
Just
saying
like
is,
this movie.
Party poop wiener
Because
butt.
that's
for the
Wild card.
for the duration of the movie, though, for the most part, Mr. Peabody speaks unrelentingly like a very smart person, and this just stuck out to me. Like he would say centripetal force. Another thing I noticed that stuck out to me, one of the parts that came later. Actually, no, it was right around that time. It was during the Da Vinci sequence. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately about how low expectations affect people. And like Penny and Sherman are hanging out, and Penny's like, "Just fly this thing. It's totally cool. You can do it. It's easy." And Sherman just does it, and it's fine. As soon as Peabody tells him, "Get down from there. You can't fly." As soon as he tells him he can't fly,
he starts falling.
he can't. Yeah, because like he like checks himself and second guesses. That stuck out to me.
So he checked himself.
And then he wrecked himself. Yeah, he really did. There was a proper amount of timeline fuckage for a time travel movie, and I appreciated that. Because if you're going to have a time travel movie, I expect to see some fucking with the timeline.
I like how they just combine instead of like exploding in time.
That surprised me. I was like, oh, how... I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah. Makes sense,
I
though.
thought
Makes
it was
more
pretty
sense
clever.
than like people just fucking exploding or some shit. Or melting into the...
Or passing out.
Yeah.
I'm young! I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was overflowing with heart and charm. I thought most of the jokes were very funny. I do agree that the Child Protective Services angle is a little bit unnecessary. It didn't really serve to raise the stakes, and was just sort of an unnecessary layer. I thought about watching it again. I will probably show it to other people. I highly recommend people watch this movie. This is some funny shit, and the writing's good, and all the voice actors do a great job. I really liked it.
Fantastic. Let's hear from Chris.
The only thing that Colin said that was accurate was that the voice acting was very good. This movie is full of cliche tropes that are stupid. The animation was decent, if not a little bit overdone. But I believe the primary conflict, in the movie can be summed up by a very wise philosopher of our time with this quote. So to you all, the kids all across the land, take it from me, parents just don't understand.
What did DJ Jazzy Jeff
All right, so
Said, Hillary, you're hot.
So I want to kind of address some of the issues or what we're discussing that people were saying that it was too smart of a movie. It was a smart movie, probably more over the heads of a lot of the kids that were realistically the demographic it was probably aimed at. But you also have to take into account that it was a spinoff from Rocky and Bullwinkle that was known for that kind of thing, had a very highbrow humor in it for adults, along with some lowbrow for children.
I like some slapstick shit, like
Right,
Mr. Peabody doing a pratfall.
Because nobody laughs. Because a kid's going to react to something more slapstick, and then you have something a little bit more cranial for a fucking adult. I think the issue there is that it wasn't that children weren't getting the jokes, because they are never a lot of them, I would say, are probably not intended to be gotten by children. I think the reality is parents weren't getting the jokes.
Absolutely not.
I agree. Support your point, Chris. When it got to the Grunion gave the line, bamboozled with fancy jargon. I have written down, bamboozled with fancy jargon, and parents were bamboozled by the fancy jargon in this movie.
Right. Yeah. Say, for being a smart character, Mr. Peabody doesn't dumb his language down to you, but he doesn't talk above you.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference. You tend to have people who are very smart and very loquacious and try to say things in ways that it's not. The whole point of talking to someone else is to communicate, right?
Yeah.
Verbalize communication so another person understands. Why would you phrase or use vocabulary that's going to be completely lost on the other side of this, other side of this conversation, right?
What's vocabulary?
Let's put that. Let's think on that for half a second, and then think on how some people like to.
Well, those people are communicating too, Chris. Their message is,
"You're an idiot.
I'm smarter than you. I'm
Right,
smarter than
and that's
you,
my
I'm smarter than
point. Mr. Peabody doesn't make anyone feel stupid.
you." That is correct.
He is smart, and he shows he's smart, but not by making you feel stupid.
Good dude.
All right, so
He's a bro.
So he's my dog.
Whoa. Crossing some lines.
I mean, so Penny was being a massive bully, and when Sherman defends himself by biting her, he's in the wrong.
Yep.
But Penny is off the hook.
Yep.
Yeah, because there isn't any physical evidence of what she did to
Yeah,
him.
that happens
Right.
all the time.
Yep.
Except for a tuna sandwich on the ground.
Oh my
That
god.
happens all the time in schools.
Here's my thing with this. It does happen constantly in schools because there aren't really enough people to monitor the number of kids.
The
that
people
are there.
who can say something don't because they're fucking smarter than that. They don't want to be the next person with their tuna sandwich on the ground.
Yeah, because
By
the kids.
It's
Sandwich.
pronounced sandwich.
Don't condescend me. Condescend to me.
No.
No, that you say that. That's how the joke goes.
Condescend to me.
All right.
Long story
I
short,
love that
Penny's a
joke.
bitch. And I'm sorry, the whole thing where suddenly Sherman is interested in Penny, it's like that wasn't even a thing until Mr. Peabody suggested it. You notice
Yeah,
that?
that did kind of. Yeah.
And it seemed forced and out of place, and I didn't like it very much. because frankly, she was a really terrible person and didn't really deserve his time. I like the idea of them becoming friends at the end. You know, I think because, everyone learns a lesson that we're all people.
Or
Or
dogs.
whatever the flying fuck.
We're all dogs, is what it is.
Yeah,
We're all
dogs.
dogs.
Or Spartacuses.
Fetch.
But yeah, I really, I think so much of it was forced that it honestly became pretty unenjoyable for me. I like Stephen Colbert in it. Yeah, here's the thing. It wasn't a terrible movie, but like, it wasn't a good one. And by the time I was done with it, like, I was happy it was over, but I felt it was so unexceptional that I honestly, I didn't think I'd have anything to say today. Cause like, it was bland.
So, Chris, do you want me to take over for you here? Because
if-
I don't
if
have
you
anything
can-
to say. It was bland.
Damn it. You walked over my joke. I was going to say if you could spice things up.
Man, that's great. So, did everybody see the trailer for this? Like, did you just happen to run into it before?
No. I saw it on Netflix, and that was what caused me to be drawn to it. Because
I was watching something else that the trailer was attached to, and honestly, I mean, I don't know, maybe if Colin, this was your thing, but yeah, the trailer made the movie look bad.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, it honestly made you think that the relationship where a dog is a boy's father is fucking weird.
Weird as
'Cause
shit.
It is weird as shit. But if you do it like, if you watch the entire movie, it doesn't seem weird.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I was willing
managed
to dispose of that,
Yeah.
that criticism.
Yeah,
Yeah, that wasn't a problem.
yeah. But in the trailer, it did seem really weird.
So you're saying, James, that you felt the trailer made it look like a bad movie?
Yep. So I
I
wasn't
feel-
going in expecting it to be bad.
because I never saw the trailer, but I watched the movie, and I feel like the movie made the movie look like a bad movie.
okay.
Yeah.
So, Eric, do you really honestly not have anything to say about this? Which is
I
fine.
have a couple things
We-
that I can say.
All
All right. So, first off, Ty Burrell does a really good job as Sherman, or I'm sorry, as Mr. Peabody in this movie. The character Ty Burrell is known for, and that he plays in almost everything he does, like when he's on screen, when we're seeing Ty Burrell, the character that he's doing is very droll and very like dry and kind of laconic. And that is not Mr. Peabody in this movie. He's a completely different thing. This is Ty Burrell, like genuinely stretching himself, and he did a really good job of it. That was really the performance by the voice actors in this movie was my favorite part of the movie. So the idea, or like just the term, the Wayback Machine, is kind of a part of culture. Like you can just say, okay, well, we're going to go into the Wayback Machine back before I saw this movie,
Yeah.
And people know what you're talking about. But I didn't know the Wayback Machine had like source material. Like I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I thought like people just saying the WAYBACK, the Wayback, like we're gonna go back in time in the Wayback Machine. I thought I thought it was just like a figure of speech. I didn't think it was an actual thing. So like to watch this movie and see that it's an actual thing, that's pretty cool. That's cool.
I sometimes forget you didn't have a childhood.
Well, I mean, but these guys were really
Well,
before
not a
our time.
childhood with
Yeah, they were
TV.
before our time, too.
Yeah, 1959.
Yeah. So Chris,
My joke was funnier without the explanation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've explained on previous episodes of the podcast that in my childhood I was either watching sports or playing sports.
Yep.
And a good example of this is I was riding my bike around the neighborhood one afternoon, and I rode through a parking lot.
Riding my bike around, beating up nerds.
No. That's the thing. No, that's the thing, Chris. Is I was ahead of grade, so I was a year younger than everybody else in my class. Like I was the youngest person in my graduating class, and I'm short. I was always the smallest person in my class, like by far. I've never beaten anybody up in my life. So I was riding my bike around the neighborhood, and I was going through a parking lot, and I saw in the parking lot a mouth guard that like a football player would wear, like with his helmet, and it was just like laying there in the middle of the parking lot. And I go, oh, I love football. I want to be a football player. So I got off my bike, I went and I got the mouth guard, and I put it in my mouth.
Oh no!
Gross.
It tasted like mint.
You picked up a mouth guard from a parking lot that assumably was even in someone else's mouth.
Yeah,
And you put it
absolutely.
and you put it in your mouth,
Yeah.
and yet you scoff at fucking a goat.
Yeah, because you guys are all fucking goat fuckers and you're bad people.
I wasn't scoffing. I wasn't fucking a goat. I just wanted to make something funny.
So yeah, anyway, like I had no context for the Wayback Machine. And it's cool that that's an actual real thing. This is not a kids movie. Like I know you guys can talk about like, there are some like kind of slapstick actiony elements, but like there aren't really any jokes for kids in this movie. There are jokes for adults in the movie. There aren't any jokes for dumb adults. There aren't jokes for like
Colin's listening.
Oh no, I wasn't.
Like
You know how stupid the average person is? Well, half the population is stupider than that.
Yes, that's what
No.
I'm saying. And yes, I understand that it's really cool that this movie didn't hold your hand, and it was cool, like talking about Ra and all that stuff back in ancient Egypt and how they're gonna embalm Penny after she dies, and all that stuff, like right, that's good. But that's not for kids.
No, it's not.
Like, if we're gonna, let's not kid ourselves. This was not a movie for kids. It absolutely was not. But in my case, I don't care about things that are animated. Yeah. Like, I just have never really watched cartoons. I don't read. Or no, I don't read cartoons. No, I read Garfield and Calvin and Hobbes. So I like Garfield and Calvin and Hobbes, but I didn't watch, I've never watched The Simpsons. You guys already know that. So really, while I was watching this movie and watching some of the superficial action that Colin mentioned before, when when they're in the sewers of Paris and Mr. Peabody's throws the sword over the guards' heads and like, ha ha, you missed us, and he goes, no, I didn't, and then they all flip around for a while. Like that kind of stuff. Just I don't care about seeing that. Like I don't need to watch a cartoon do things that only a cartoon can do. I don't know. So this movie was pretty good. I would have liked the movie more if it were 4 episodes of a TV show. Like if there was an episode of this movie that went back to ancient Egypt, if there was an episode of the movie that went to the French Revolution, if there was an episode of the movie that went to the Renaissance, and if there was an episode of the movie that went to the American Revolution when they were talking about G-Dub chopping down cherry trees. This movie would have been better if they didn't insert the Sherman doesn't want to be a dog and Mr. Peabody feels bad about that, and then we have to resolve it at
what
the
you
end.
want is the History Channel.
The original show.
Yes.
He wants the original
what
show.
I want is for there not to be some kind of manufactured conflict. And the Sherman, I'm not a dog. Oh, Mr. Peabody kind of feels bad about that. That's pointless. It's really pointless. It didn't need to be part of the movie. And the Sherman getting taken away from Peabody. Like if they didn't just have these manufactured conflicts, if they could just go back in time, enjoy it, talk to Leonardo da Vinci, make a joke that makes Mona Lisa smile. Like I would like this much more if it were a TV show.
Yep. And that is basically the whole entire concept for the show, is those little vignettes where they go back and they do something silly and they have a silly smart joke.
Yeah. See, that would be wonderful. And you know what? I think you're
works.
right. So I think if I watched that, I'd probably like it. Yeah. But this movie was the manufactured conflict. Just I didn't care. Because when you're watching these kind of movies, I can get invested in your manufactured conflict because I know that this is the type of movie where it's all going to work out in the end. So I don't put any emotional investment in them not getting along with each other.
Would it have been better if Mr. Peabody ended up, in jail, someone's prison bitch?
Wow.
You know what? It would have.
It would have been a much different movie.
That was where you wanted to go with that. That's Wow.
That is because prison.
I'm just saying the manufactured conflict
No, I'm with
that
you.
is going to resolve at
Right,
the end of the movie
it's-
is that I cannot allow myself to become
what
invested
did I
in.
start out with? Hold on. Reference my joke. Cliche tropes. Stupid.
So Eric, next up, we're gonna watch some Plague Dogs, or maybe some Watership Down,
Thanks.
Well,
because those are
okay.
animated movies where everything works out in the end.
Yeah, real good.
So this is actually kind of an interesting point that you brought up, Eric, that I don't think I've ever really considered before. Now that there is so much CGI in movies, animation is actually a lot less important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you watch Lord of the Rings, you can see Legolas do all the shit Mr. Peabody does in like any one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Legolas is a
Interesting.
goddamn cartoon character.
Well, it seems that we're kind of coming down with sort of a general blah about this whole film. Some of us really love it.
Me.
And the other just kind of thinks it's okay. So I think for the most part, we were pretty much divided on the movie.
Incorrectly divided.
That is true.
I'll say,
And while
Hey, Colin.
none of us thinks it's awful.
that is true.
Yeah. Nope. None of us think it's awful. That's true.
Eric, you said my name, and we know people like it when you say their names. What did you want?
Yeah. So I haven't said this on the episode. I told you this beforehand, but Ty Burrell really does remind me of Colin quite a bit.
Oh, golly.
And so when I thought that going into watching this, and then Ty Burrell is the voice of Sherman. So when I was I'm sorry, not Sherman, Mr. Peabody. So when I was every scene that Mr. Peabody was saying stuff, I was like, Colin could do that. That's Colin.
Aw,
I'm
thanks.
serious. I was imagining you as Mr. Peabody.
I take that as a compliment. Thank you.
You should, because that was the best performance in the movie.
That's going to work
there's
its
no doubt
way
about
into the
that.
fan fiction.
I'm speaking of people that Colin has through his Facebook page brought to liking the podcast.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe who the last person to like the podcast was.
Oh, no.
Who?
Dave Thomas, founder of Wendy's.
Ah, god damn it! Fucking A, we're still shit. I was not expecting that. I was not fucking shit, motherfucker.
Well,
Oh, you
Sorry,
got me
guys, that was an
good.
inside joke
Yeah.
between me and James.
I'm not
but it
in on
paid
that.
off.
Fucking good. Oh, your face lit up. I was like, oh man, it must be like. I was like, it's got to be somebody important or something.
I was mortified. I was like, oh my god, who the fuck could you be talking? I'm like, this is gonna be one of my exes or something. Jesus, I don't want to talk about that.
It was like
Thank
somebody
God it was
from high
Dave Thomas,
school
founder
that
of
like we.
Wendy's.
Yeah. Oh god damn it. I mean, I can't do it to you till like another month or two.
Until I'm not ready
Yeah.
for
So
it.
is this
Yeah.
game where you just say Dave Thomas, founder of
They
Wendy's?
have to say who.
You have to say who, and then they say Dave Thomas, founder of Wendy's.
I love this game. Oh
Yeah,
my
they
god.
All right, so Colin, you're in. You
I'm
can
in.
play.
Yeah,
I'm
they
in.
can't be like. So tell me who. Tell me, is it this guy? What's he look like? It can't be any of that
They
shit.
have to say who.
Who?
I have to
Yep.
say who. The answer is
Or who
Dave
is
Thomas,
it?
Like
founder of
who?
Wendy's.
Like wanting to know
The-
the answer.
the question
just like
has to be-
James
yeah.
just did.
Uh-huh.
All right,
So-
sorry guys.
That was.
No, that's okay.
I
That's
don't know where this comes from, but that was amazing.
Yeah, it's a great game. Anyway, so I have to say, there's a meta joke in this movie. Like, man, Colin, when you were talking, I just wanted to fucking interrupt all the time because you were just pinging so much that I was like, remember when I watched this movie. But the only thing that I can really remember that's really important is this meta joke is Mr. Peabody dies when he falls off a cliff. Now, Sherlock dies the same way. And in this movie, they go, how'd you survive? And he's like, well, I did this and I built a rudimentary Wayback Machine. They never explain how the fuck he survived falling off the cliff.
Yeah.
In Sherlock, they never explain how he survives falling off the cliff.
And it's good. They shouldn't
Yeah.
explain it.
It's just it's just like, well, how'd you survive falling off that cliff? Well, I've got a fucking 160 IQ. You don't think I can survive a fall off a cliff?
I like to think that what happened in this movie is that Mr. Peabody, as soon as they said, you died, you fell off a cliff, he went, oh shit, I died in Troy. Okay, after we resolve whatever it is we're going to resolve, I have to go back to Troy and save myself.
The Bill and
he
Ted.
basically Bill and Tedded it. So there's this whole extra story that happens after Peabody gets clear of the wormhole. After he gets clear of the wormhole, he puts the kids to bed and is like, oh fuck, I have to go back in time to ancient Troy and to save myself so that this time loop can close because he's actually dead.
Hey Colin,
Doctor Who
hey
shit.
Colin, what number am I thinking of right now?
69, dude.
69!
All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to play the game.
Wonderful.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
There's nothing worse than having to explain your life's credo. So show people how you roll with an I Roll with Eric's Dad trucker hat. With this hat, everyone's gonna want to hook up with your convoy. On a 10-point scale, how cool will you be with your new I Roll with Eric's Dad trucker hat? 10 or above.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is the game time, and we also...
The French!
Hello, everyone.
The French.
So next up on the docket,
So next up,
we're gonna play the
play the
game.
John Hates Movies game.
Oh, comes win. So Colin, tell me, if the moon was made of cheese, would you eat
If
it?
the moon was made out of barbecued spare ribs, would you eat it? I know I would.
Oh, goodness. The greats never die. So it is Listener Appreciation.
Bullshit.
Hey,
That's right.
hey,
What?
listeners appreciate you.
That's right. We
Appreciate
appreciate our listeners here at John Hates Movies. Just a little bit of rundown as to how this works. Every third episode, we do one of these listener appreciations where we've been collecting your suggestions either through social media, the Facebook page, or by just telling us. We pile them all together in a comprehensive list. We play the game, and the winner of the game chooses between your listener suggestions.
The rules are simple. Submissions are taken every second Tuesday of each odd-numbered month. Except on even-numbered months, we choose a Saturday, which we do not disclose, on which we choose a listener suggestion. If you'd been paying attention, you would know that.
That's it in a nutshell. All right, so
Sorry.
the
Kids
game.
love my nuts.
I get to run it. I get to run it this time.
You don't know
When I
it. You
run
don't
the
have
game.
anything, do you? You're stalling.
Right, right. When you run the game, you don't prepare at
He's
all.
looking around the room. He's looking around.
You don't have to.
What color?
No, I
is
actually,
my lamp?
What's your favorite Minecraft square?
No, I actually have something this time around. A lot of people consider this to be the lowest
God.
form
Oh,
of
no.
comedy.
Colin?
I've been so nice to you this episode. You are so mean.
It's not my fault that the zings just keep on coming.
Yeah.
I'm
Now,
an opportunist.
This is why I shushed you earlier, Chris, is because you were wasting some fantastic game material. Because we are going to engage in a John Hates Movies punathon. You may find it punishing, but it's guaranteed to be hilarious.
I thought you
I think
had
you mean
something for the end
punny.
of that.
I didn't.
Is it really guaranteed to be?
It's
Yes, it
going
is.
to
It's
be
guaranteed
funny.
to. Oh shit! I had something for this.
Yes. I'm actually terrible at puns, but I have known of some people that are very, very good at it, and I'm going to expect you guys to be just as good at it. Here's how it's going to work. I will give you 3 words that you must pun. Do your best to make these puns as short as possible. Try not to have very, very long stories that end in the pun, James.
No. Shenanigans.
I'll give you all the word. You guys give me your puns. we'll do this 3 times, because 3 is the magic number, and they will be surprisingly relevant to the film that we just watched. So, ladies and gentlemen, your first word is dog.
So are we gonna do this like the dad joke-a-thon where the first person that's shitty at puns gets kicked out?
We can do elimination. Have you ever tried to eat a clock? It's very time-consuming.
That's so stupid.
Puns, the highest form of humor.
The girl quit her job at the donut factory because she was fed up with the whole business.
I quit my job at the orange juice factory. I just couldn't concentrate.
All right, I've got one.
Okay, yeah.
Fine, just let me go first.
Chris, are you ready?
No.
The experienced carpenter really nailed it, but the new guy screwed everything up.
You went online and are looking at a pun website now, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Of course I am. Some of these are hilarious. When Peter Pan punches, they never land.
Wow.
Atheism is a non-profit
Organization.
organization.
Yeah, I heard
Nice.
that one before.
Oh, this is a classic. I used to have a fear of hurdles, but I got over it.
I love puns. This made me laugh so much. It's so stupid.
Jill broke her finger today, but on the other hand, she was completely fine.
Go.
Okay.
So our first word is dog. Eric, lead us off.
So I'm the lead dog on this.
Hey!
That wasn't my
I
pun. So I told John I'm not really good at puns, and part of the problem is I'm really tired. I've been doing double shifts every day this week. I'm working at the kennel. They got me dog tired.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Hey.
Yep. That is good.
All right, Colin, you go next, because I want to know if you're going to steal mine.
Well, I had my dog kenneled over at Eric's work, but she got out and ran away. I had to go retrieve her. That's a Colin McMillan original. You should treasure that shit.
James, what do you got for us?
The shingles on my house are looking really fucking awful. My neighbors are all bothering me about it. Even the neighbor's dog offered to help. His specialty is roofing.
I had a Facebook picture that said that, and it was a dog in a hard hat.
Yep.
My specialty is roofing.
So, Chris?
Mr. Peabody is a business titan, inventor, scientist, gourmand, Olympic medalist, genius, and a Nobel laureate. But ironically, he doesn't have a Peabody.
I'll take it. So, these are all pretty good. We are going to do elimination, so one of you guys has got to go. And Eric, I'm sorry to say, it was you.
Yep, sorry, that's fine.
That's okay.
Could have done working me like a dog.
Dog.
It's really been a
No,
dog
dog-
day afternoon.
dog-
Eric's in the
Dogging-
doghouse now.
Dogging me all day.
Or something like, I wanted to see lots of animals at the zoo, but they only had one small dog. It was a shit zoo.
That was the other one I was going to use, yeah.
Okay, so what's the next word?
The next word is time. And you
Oh
can
man,
do
you already
things...
used the good one.
Yes, you can use things like, you can use clock and anything with time. Alrighty, round 2. The word is time. Colin, why don't you go?
Mr. Clock had been under a lot of stress. He had even started to develop a facial tic.
Okay. Chris!
It's pretty good.
I do like that one.
Okay. Well, I too have been really busy. I've been so busy. I've been busy all day, but I had to run to the store, so I had time for my soup.
You had Time for what?
Oh, time like the spice. Ah!
Thank you.
Oh, gotcha.
That's clever.
Yeah, I'm really busy, and last time I was this busy was last summer, and I remember I was at lunch, and I really wanted some dessert, and so I went up to the counter and asked if they had any new flavors of ice cream, and they had thyme-flavored ice cream, and so I got that, and I was trying to eat it as quick as I could, but it was so hot, and it was melting everywhere, but the good news is, at that point, I had a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah.
I've got too much time on my hands. Too much time.
Jesus.
Well, this is a hard choice. But I'm afraid, Chris, you're out.
Bullshit. Mine was the cleverest.
Yours was so clever, I actually
This is
didn't
fucking
get
bullshit.
it. I didn't get it. I was expecting something.
Cultured swine.
The jokes were above your head. It was
They
too
were.
clever. It was too clever for the children.
Obviously, I should be writing for Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
No jokes
was-
can go above my head. My reflexes are too sharp.
So, Eric, did you actually have one for time, or?
No,
Oh, okay.
of course
If
not.
you had one,
I
you
was
should go.
I was actually expecting something a little more along the lines like I attached all my watches together to make a belt. It was a waste of time.
Yeah, well, I just like to
Wow.
say mine was, totally OC. OC.
Listeners, if you would like some puns, just search puns on the internet.
Hey, no, I'm coming up with these all on the top of my head.
Just
OC.
message John directly.
Go ahead and give me a call anytime at 555-1212. No. All right. James and Colin,
Yes.
this is it. Can Colin break a losing streak of
Fuck
like
you.
80 episodes?
Y'all just hate me.
Your word is boy. Man will be an acceptable substitute for boy, too, now I'm thinking about it. Okay, Colin.
On the theme of boy, which you said is also interchangeable with man,
Mm-hmm.
the doctor told the man he would perform his physical at the post office. He said it was the best place to check the mail.
Okay.
That was awful.
That was fantastic,
That-
Colin. Don't
that
listen
is-
to haters.
Freaking OC, and that was a great pun.
I agree.
All three are
I
Colin
agree.
McMillan originals.
James.
So,
I'm just still bitter about the last pun. Mine was so damn clever.
all right, my friend was disowned, discommunicated by his dad. But the good news is now he has a mansion.
Yep.
Eh. Colin, you're the winner. You've broken your losing streak.
I personally
James,
think
you
the best
cannot
pun-
win with that one.
That was pretty bad, but I think the best puns are the ones that take you half a minute. That way, it has to pain you. The pun has to be painful. Like you have to suffer for it.
No,
I was
see,
working
the-
up to
you don't have
punishing.
to.
Thank you.
The problem was that I kept on getting fucking stuck on, I couldn't remember what the fuck a mandrill is.
It's a monkey.
Type of monkey.
It's a monkey. That's
Monkey.
what I was looking
It's
up
a
on my
big,
phone.
mean monkey. All right, well, wow, I win. Oh my gosh, I wasn't prepared. So
Lucky for you,
bullshit.
you don't have to make a choice.
Colin always wins when John's running the game.
whatever, I won that shit fair and square.
That's not true. Last time John won the game, I won, or John did the game, I won. That was
I
the
thought it
Marty.
was Colin.
That was the Marty episode.
Then it was the time
No,
before.
I'm
I
just
had the
great.
saddest first date.
So I had a pick in mind, but after our Facebook poll yielded such great results, I'm going to go with a time-honored.
Starship Troopers. I mean, 3.
I'm going to go with a time-honored tradition here at John Hates Movies of nepotism. My uncle suggested the movie Killer Mermaid, and I just cannot pass that up. So
Oh,
I
God.
choose Killer Mermaid, 2014
Sure.
Modern March Killer Mermaid. And you know, I might have chosen Chef, John, if you hadn't made me second guess it last night.
Well, thank you very much, Gene Stevenson, for giving us that wonderful suggestion of Killer Mermaid. I'm sure we're going to, watch it. So we look forward to doing that. And thank you very much for your suggestion.
If I watch it... You mean watch watch it, you mean do the dishes while it plays somewhere around me.
I'm gonna watch that.
I'm going to watch the first half hour and just make up the rest of it.
Colin, you should feel great. Nobody I'm related to has ever listened to an episode of the podcast.
Yeah, actually,
I won't
big
tell
ups
people
to my
I
family
relate
because
to.
most of them have listened, and I really appreciate that.
They're
Hey,
actually pretty.
If
in a
if
general
we're
rule.
judging by engagement on Facebook, Colin is by far the most popular member of the podcast.
That is true.
Oh, you're too kind.
Yep. No, Colin's family
His
is great,
uncles-
and we like him. We like him to keep listening. So.
Even if his uncle's friends list are all bears.
Yeah, well, you know. I kind of wish I had a couple of them.
Bear,
Walk with
bear,
me
bear,
Down the trail again. Take me back where I belong. Oh, Fred Bear, I'm glad to have you at my side, my friend. And I'll join you in the big hunt before too long. Yeah, before too long. Now, see, Fred, I'll go up there on that cliff, and I'll go down in the swamp. Good
night, everybody. A great big thank you to our staff graphic artist, Tabby Walters, the Weekly Cast, and our listeners. You can listen to our podcast on iTunes, the Stitcher app, through YouTube, or directly on our website. Feel free to send us a movie review suggestion. Every third episode is Listener Appreciation, where we choose from your suggestions. You can reach us through social media, either by liking our Facebook page, John Hates Movies YouTube channel, or following our Twitter at John Hates Movies. Our music was composed by Kevin MacLeod. You can find this track and many more on his website, incompetech.com. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to hear someone say...
Okay, so while we're on the subject, explain to me how RoboCop is just not a grown-up version of Inspector Gadget.
It totally is.